Director. With this, I announce that our event today officially begins. As we are approaching the contest season, it is very important to familiarize ourselves with the online contest rule so that we can organize a quality contest that is fair for everyone. Hence, today, we have invited 4 credible panelists to answer all your doubts in online contest rules. And today, our discussion will be divided into 2 sessions. First session, we will be focusing on organizing online contests, and second session will be focusing on contest judging. So without further ado, we will kickstart the first session by inviting the 4 panelists and the first session moderator on the virtual stage. Okay, the first panelist, she has been in Toastmasters since 1989, and currently she is the member of 2 clubs, Davao Park Asa Toastmasters Club and Durian Toastmasters Club in the Philippines. She was also the International Director term 2016 to 2018, and the Region Advisor term 2013 and 2014. Everyone, please join me to welcome on virtual stage Distinguished Toastmaster Eliza Tay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Toastmaster Eliza. The second panelist, she has been in Toastmasters since 2001, and she is from Punggol Park Toastmasters Club in Singapore, of which she is the chartered president of the club. She was the District AD Director term 2016-2017, and also the Presidential Citation recipient in 2011. Everyone, please join me to welcome on virtual stage Distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Lam.
Thank you, Patrick, and I'm so happy to be here.
Good afternoon, Toastmaster Patricia.
Good afternoon.
And our third panelist, she has been in Toastmasters since 2001, and she is currently in the Sandakan Toastmasters Club, Malaysia, and she was our District 87 Governor term 2013 and 2014. So everyone, please join me to welcome on virtual stage Distinguished Toastmaster Datin Grace Chiu.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It's been an honor being invited to be one of your panelists today. Good luck to everyone. Back to you, MC.
Good afternoon, Datin. All right. And our fourth panelist, as our district director said, he is the cutest one, and I believe he is the most handsome panelist of all today. So he has been in Toastmasters since 2013, and he is from Brunei Speakers Club, Brunei Darussalam, and he is currently the immediate past District 87 Director. So everyone, please join me to welcome to virtual stage Distinguished Toastmaster Alan Ang.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Patrick. You got me excited for a while, then I realized, no wonder I'm the most handsome today. So that was a very good one. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Alan. No worry, you have your match later on, because I would like to invite our first session moderator, which will be moderated directly by our own District 87 Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus Wijaya. Please welcome him on stage.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, good afternoon, Agus. So without further ado, guys, please enjoy the first session. I'll give the control to Agus. Agus, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Patrick Wong. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Good afternoon, panelists. Thank you for being here, panelists. We are excited to hear from your experience and knowledge. Our team managed to gather many questions from the audience, and we are going to start with the most asked question. During an online contest, the most possible problem that might disturb the contest is a bad connection problem. I'm going to ask this first topic to immediate past District Director Alan Ang. And after IPDD Alan gave his opinion, if any other panelists would like to add on, please use the raise your hand function, or simply raise your hand to the in front of the camera. For the audience, take notes. If you have any question, we will invite you after each topic. Then you can raise your hand if you wanted to have a discussion with the panelists. Is that okay? Everyone, raise your hand in front of the camera if you are okay with this arrangement. Okay, let's start. IPDD Ellen Ang. When a contestant lost her connection during a speech, actually, how long should we wait? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes? This is the most asked question. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, our program quality director, Agus. Good afternoon, everyone. I like how we kickstart this session with a very, very interesting question. How long should we wait for a contestant? I remember asking this question to TI, and especially during the time when we first had our online contest. And the common response that I get is, it all depends on the leadership of the contest team. So which means it all depends on the contest chair, the organizing chair, and during the time when they're having every briefing, what was the discussion and what is the outcome? Because everyone would have their own set of challenges. And I don't think there is a specific rule that says that it must be within this limit. There can be certain guidelines of, based on our past experience, 2 minutes or 3 minutes is what we can do. But again, it all goes back to the leadership of the contest team. So that was the response from TIHQ that was given to me last year or even 2 years ago, and something that I hold close to, which I believe gives enough flexibility for the contest team to figure out something that benefit the contestant the most. After all, the reason of us running the contest is we wanted to showcase our members of what they have learned during the normal club contest and during the normal club meeting, and they will be able to put it on a bigger stage, and hopefully we can inspire more members or even more guests to join the Toastmasters meeting. So I think as long as we understand the purpose behind it and the inspirations behind it, everything else should be quite flexible within the leadership team. So that's my answer.
Thank you, IPDD Ellen. So it depends on the leadership, the chief judge and the contest chair. And the key point here is flexibility. The question about this is, if we are passing the agreed time, for example, 3 minutes, is it better to disqualify or move them to the last turn of after the last speaker to attempt again? What is your opinion on this?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think during the contestant briefing, that is a time where everyone can have a proper discussion. So I remember during a contestant briefing, I will ask the contestant questions such as, so if we were to set it at, let's say, 2 minutes, so any single time that any one of you were to drop off line, and you'll be given 2 minutes to reconnect, is everyone okay with that? So we get an agreement. So once we get an agreement, it means that all the contestants agree to using 2 minutes as a guideline. Then we'll also ask questions about, if you're not able to connect, we will allow you a maximum of two attempts. Is that okay? Then let's get a consensus. If everybody say okay, then we use that as a guide. I think communication is what Toastmasters preach about, and this is the time where we can really communicate along situations like this. However, when it comes to the actual contest time where the contestant actually dropped offline and couldn't reconnect, the questions of, are we allowed to slide the contestant to later speaking order? I think this is a very challenging question. I was actually part of a contest where this actually happened. Usually we would say no. I mean, if you miss it, you miss it. You should disqualify. So you can't allow the speaker to present anymore because the number of time for reattempt has been overrun, right? So we give you two maximum times of chances, you still can't make it back. So sorry. But last year, during one of the contests that I was attending, I saw some beautiful things that happened. A contestant was not able to reconnect because of a very, very bad connection issue. However, the other contestant were open to allowing the contestant to come back in at the later speaking order. I think there was a meeting that was being called between the judging teams, and also they get consensus individually from every single contestant. And I thought that was a very beautiful thing, because every single contestant actually agreed individually to allow this particular contestant to speak last. So then it goes back to the essence of why are we having a contest, right? It's to provide a fair game for everyone to showcase their growth. And we wanted to put everyone out there to give the best chance as well. Of course, this is in assumptions that all integrity has been in place and everyone is abiding by the rules and the games as well. So as long as it's within it and everyone agrees to it, I think it's okay. So that's my take, and also that's what I've seen and in a person, and that's what I mentioned, that flexibility is something that is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, IPDD Alan. So the key is agreement and communication among everyone involved. Yes, we have past international director, PID Eliza Tay. Go ahead, Eliza.
I agree with Alan, because we have to discuss things. And like in District 75, this was discussed, and it's a practice that is done from area level up, because we wouldn't want also different rules for each area and for the division and then all the way to the district. So in our case, it was discussed and it was agreed upon, and this is followed all over. So if a contestant cannot come back after 30 seconds, they have an option to go back to the end of the queue. So they speak last. If at the end of the queue, they continue where they left off. If they ended at 3 minutes, they continue from 3 minutes on. And if they drop off again, then they could be disqualified if they do not reach the minimum time. So if it's an international speech, it's 5 to 7. If they reach 4 minutes 30, then they can qualify. The judges can score them. If they do not reach that and they cannot come back after the second time, then they are disqualified. But for table topics and evaluation, if they cannot come back after 30 seconds, then they cannot go back to the end of the queue anymore. So if they did not reach the minimum time, they are disqualified. So it's something that we have agreed upon, and it starts from the area or even at the club level all the way to the district, because we cannot have different rules set during different levels of the contest. Back to you, Agus.
Thank you, PID Eliza. So once again, it is good to have a discussion and agreement amongst everyone. Yes, PDD
I do
Patricia.
agree with earlier Alan and Eliza. It seems like in District 80 where we came from, we are more strict in the sense that we are given 5 minutes. If the contestants drop out, they are given 5 minutes to return. So we wait for 5 minutes to return, and then they complete the speech. But if they drop off again, second time, they will not be given a chance to come back. Right. So for judges who lose connection, if I am the chief judge, I tell them only 3 seconds for you to come back. If you lose your connection, or your ballot will not be used. And for evaluation contestant, if they lose their connection and come back, say if they have, during a speech test, a contestant lost the connection and come back, say after 5 minutes, it's definitely that he would have already lost most of the speech. And he is allowed to still continue to take part, but usually he will not be able to, because 5 minutes is already, the speech is already almost over. But if he do a very good evaluation, and then we know that it is a makeup. And that is when judges have to be very alert to look at that. So it's 5 minutes for contestant, 3 seconds for judges, and then for the contestant.
Bisa ngomong bahasa Inggris kayak air gitu.
I'm sorry, everyone. Please unmute when you are not speaking. Please mute your microphone if you are not speaking. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Master Patricia.
I'm done.
Oh, you are done. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is interesting. Actually, I'm going to ask the next question is regarding the table topic and evaluation. So PID Eliza and PDD Patricia already mentioned about table topic and evaluation. So everything needs to be agreed upon and to discuss everything. And so in this case, PID Eliza mentioned that 30 seconds after being disconnected and they are qualified if it is a table topic. Is it true?
Yeah, in District 75, that's our practice. If after 30 seconds, you cannot come back, you are disqualified. But if it's table topic, time limit is 1 to 2 minutes, right? So if they reach 1 minute and then they were cut off, or let's say they reach 1 minute 30 and they were cut off, and they cannot come back after 30 seconds, the judges can give them a score based on their performance of that 1 minute and a half. They are not considered disqualified. That means because they have achieved the time limit.
Okay.
If they speak less than the required time and they cannot come back after 30 seconds for evaluation and table topics, they will be disqualified.
Okay, so that is one of the benchmark. If they didn't achieve the minimum of 1 minute, then they will get disqualified. But if they manage to speak more than 1 minute, then the judges will use that speech and not disqualify the contestant. Thank you. And PDD Patricia, you mentioned about evaluation.
Yes,
What
what I meant is that when a test speaker is speaking and I am the contestant and I drop off, and that means to say that I'm not able to listen to the speech, and then I come back, I'm still allowed to take part in the contest. But what I'm saying is most of the time, if you have not listened to the test speaker, it will be very difficult for you to do an evaluation. But if the contestant can still give a full evaluation, and that is, I would consider that a very make-up evaluation, and then judges will have to be very alert on that. We will not disqualify the person.
Yes, thank you, PDD Patricia. That is regarding the bad connection. And for the audience, do you have any question or would like to discuss with the panelists regarding the bad connection?
Can I add something?
Yes, PID Eliza.
With regards to judges, usually we have a chat group just for judges with the chief judge. And if there's a lag, we usually say lag. And then if there are more than 2 or 3 judges who says lag, that means there's something wrong with the connection. So the chief judge can stop and say, let us wait for the connections to get better. If a judge cannot come back after also 1 or 2 minutes, then their ballots will not be counted anymore because it will be unfair for the other contestants. So the judge will have to inform the chief judge. That's why for the chief judge, we always have more than the required number of judges. So if we require 5, then sometimes we go for 7 or 8 judges. So if there are judges that will get cut off, there are those who will not be able to connect, then we have enough judges. If by good graces and good weather and good connections, all 8 judges will not be cut off, then we have 8 ballots to count.
Okay, thank you, PID Eliza. So I can see that someone asked questions. Toastmaster Miftahuda, would you like to unmute and direct your question to one of the panelists here?
Okay, thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus Wijaya. I am Miftah, and I am the Division B Director. I want to ask a question. How about we just tell a story if they disconnected one time? How about 2 times or so? Is it a chance for them to be change it into the last contestants, or we disqualify them? Just back to you.
Who do you want to, from the panelists, to answer your question? Master Miftah?
I think I mentioned that earlier. For the first time when they are disconnected, we gave them, we are talking about contestant, we give them 5 minutes to come back, to log back on. But if the second time it happens, then we will, that person will no more be a contestant. Not disqualified, but the person will no more be a contestant. That is from our district. Maybe the other district may want to talk about that.
Okay. Does it answer your question, Toastmaster Miftah?
Yes, but I'm not sure if it's really possible for our district. How about our district? Thank you.
Okay, so your question is about what about our district? And also Toastmaster Rona asking what is the rule for District 87? So it is a discussion among the contest chair and chief judge and all the contestants later. So we are going to conduct a briefing when we are going to do the district level contest, for example. The contest chair, the chief judge, and all the contestants involved will be gathered, and we are going to have a discussion and have an agreement to decide the regulation for that contest. Does it answer your question, Toastmaster Miftah and Toastmaster Rona?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering my question, distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus Wijaya.
Thank you.
I still have a little bit of questions. It means, is there any specific rule? Because I think from your answer, it means it's up to the discretion of all the parties concerned. But what is according to the rule of Toastmaster International?
Okay, I'm going to invite IPDD Ellen Ang to answer this.
Rona, thank you for your questions. If we ask TI if there is a specific rule, they will come back to us saying that it is at the discretion of the leadership. So which means it is up to the organizing team. So let me give an example. If today I am representing Division E, and then I am the contest chair for Division E, organizing chair, and then all the chief judge, we will come together and we'll decide how this contest should be conducted. Because at every division, there is their own set of challenges. For instance, when it comes to district, it's even a tougher assignment because district needs to consider internet connections, a telco service for 3 different countries. So we want to give the benefit of doubt to contestants who might be signing in from Malaysia, who might be signing in from Brunei, or even from Indonesia, where we hope all stars would align and everyone would have the best connection. So on that itself, the leadership of that contest, which means the contest, Toastmasters, the organizing chair, and also the chief judge, should decide and say what should be our regulations for this particular district contest. Then during the contestant briefing, the contestant would be briefed based on the rule itself. If there is any question, it would be from the contestant. Because if the contestants are okay with the arrangement, then that's the most important thing. Everything else should not matter as much. However, with that being said, as we heard earlier on from Eliza and also Patricia, or even from our own district as well, every district have their own set of discussion and we try to come up with something that is more flexible. Within this flexibility, it is also important for the leadership for that contest to understand that with flexibility, integrity is even at a higher test, which means because sometimes contestants might know that there is flexibility, they might push the boundary. So it is also the test of that particular leadership of saying that, where do we draw our line of if you cross this limit, it's a definitely no-no. For instance, I like what Eliza has mentioned earlier on. If it is a table topic, 30 seconds in, 45 seconds in, and you drop off, there's no way that we can allow the table topic speaker to come back in because you already heard about the topic. So it will provide an unfair advantage to you as the contestant. However, if it is a prepared speech, it is your speech, then it will make sense that you can come back and continue and finish delivering your speech. And also for the contestant as well, it is also a good reminder to all the contestants, if you are part of the contestant, and if you feel like, no, I would not like to agree to sliding the previous contestant towards the end, I would say that don't be peer pressured in doing so. Do not feel like you might be guilt-tripped into saying that, oh, if I don't allow it to slide, it means that I'm not a good person or kind of person, because it is up to each individual. So I think these are the things that we have to be very openly talk about, openly communicated, and everybody agreed upon. That's why I believe when it comes to a contest, especially an online contest, the word that we are using is the leadership of that particular contest team. So everyone involved in it should have an open communication about it. I hope this answers most of the doubts that everybody would have and would clear any questions that you might have when it comes to contests. Because I have at least emailed TI 3 times when this was first introduced, and I asked them, so who is in charge? They come back to me, the leadership of the contest. And I said, who is the leadership of the contest? And they said, contest chair, chief judge. So this is what I would like to share with everyone. So I hope that answered the questions, Rona. Thank you. And also thank you to you, Agus.
Thank you, IPDD Alan Ang. So communication and agreement is the key. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Rona. Anyone else would like to have a discussion regarding that connection with the panelists? If not, we are going to continue to the next topic. This next topic is for our past district governor, Dr. Grace Chiu. If a contestant refers to another contestant or part of another contestant's speech, what are the consequences? Is it a point reduction, or should the contestant be disqualified? Your take on this, Toastmaster Datin?
Thank you, PQD, and all the attendants today. Okay, as we all know, contest rulebooks changes every year. So based on the rulebooks 2021 to 2023, under contents 3A, you will see when every year when Toastmasters International change any rules, there's a little diamond on the left side of the margin. So each club in good standing is permitted, okay, to choose contestants for every area, switch contest by whatever means the club's desires. But as you said, it's under the protocols and the eligibility. So when the contestants join the contest, and when you sign up, you need to sign up a certificate of eligibility forms with your chief judge. So on that forms, you have already agreed that your speech is original, right? So you are given only 25% or less of the speech that you can quote someone's or referring someone's speech or someone's contents. But you must make sure that when you quote, like for example, I quote, I see something in you. At the back of that quote, you must say from Anna Jaya. So that one is agreeable. But if you just simply quote someone's quotings or refreshing someone's speech on your speech, and you did not specify that is a paraphrasing from another contestant or another person's quote, then it's not allowed. So how would the judges know? The judges have to be very alert on that, because when you sign your certificates of eligibility, you already noted that your speech is original, 100% original from you. And contestant referring must not refer during that particular contest. Like, for example, I'm the third speaker, and the two speaker before me has already speak something that interests me, and it would be good that I can include into my speech, my prepared speech, and I quote that person. You are not allowed. When you quote that contestant at the same platform on the same contest, you are 100% disqualified immediately, because you quote that contestant speech on the same platform on the same speech contest. Does that answer your question, PQD and audience?
Yes, it answered my question. So if that contestant refer another contestant in the same speech contest,
yes,
then that person is definitely disqualified.
Yes, because you at the contest rule books, if you read the contest rule book, it's stated that you are not allowed to refer to your previous contestants who has already spoken on his or her speech at the same platform where you are competing with the two contestants before you.
This is out of my curiosity. What do you think the cause of this new regulation? What is the background behind it? Any of the panelists would like to add on about this?
I would like to add it on. Why this is so is because sometimes when you refer to somebody, you unintentionally, maybe it's unintentionally, sometimes it's intentional, that you probably will want to disagree with the previous speaker. By disagreeing with that previous speaker, it influences the judges to think that you are right. So that it's not fair to the speaker before you. So this is one of the reasons I can think of.
Thank you. So the contestant might use the opportunity to disagree with other contestants, so discredit them, so that they look better in front of the judges.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
I think Alan has something to speak to add on.
IPDD Alan, go ahead.
Also, the other reason could be, let's say if you are in a humor speech contest and you are contestant number 7, the previous contestant has done pretty well. And because you come later, you do a callback on the joke, on the humor that they have actually delivered previously. So you gain extra point. So it's like you're taking advantage of the setup that has been produced by the previous contestant already. So it can be on both sides. What Patricia has mentioned and what I mentioned as well is on both different extremes, but both are utilizing another person as a platform to spotlight yourself. So I think that would be one main reason why it is not encouraged. However, if I would like to add on to what I think Grace has also shared early on with regards to the referencing, right? I think there was a time in the contest where a line was spoken which was similar to a previous contestant, and all the judges were being brought in, and they said that, you know, you were quoting a previous contestant. But that was up for this debate. It was because it was a very generic line. For instance, it can be a very normal quote or a very normal perspective. Let's say every journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, for example. But maybe the previous contestant has used it. It doesn't mean that if I were to use the same line, I am referencing to them or I'm quoting them. So that's why in a prepared speech contest, the last one that I was in where there was a controversial, we were being brought into the room. There was a question that was being asked to the contestant as well. Since the prepared speech, can you show us your speech? Because if it's already pre-prepared, right, it should be in your line. So that is one way to prove that it is already prepared by you and not something that you added in the very last minute. So I think this is an experience that I found it very interesting, and I just want to share it, and especially adding on to what I think Grace has shared as well. So hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you.
So does it mean that the contestant need to bring their speech draft or prepare the speech draft in words to be shown to the judges? Yeah, IPDDL.
Oh. Sorry, I think we were. I think I was looking at Eliza. Eliza looking at Patricia and looking at my fingers. Like, oh, which one of us will be answering? I can go on this one first. Then they can add on if I miss out something. I think for any contestant, if they really get to that far or they have a few years of experience under their belt, the prepared speech will already have been there. So it is also very important to anyone who's in our audience right now. If you were to be a contestant, make sure you have your speech written down. Not only just because in case you are paraphrasing somebody else or you are being raised or contested based on originality. It is also important if someone really comes to you, someone really go to the judges and say that, you know, I think I've heard that speech somewhere. It is important for them to use that as a guideline to count the 25%. Otherwise, it's hard to gauge, right? So the speech becomes a very important piece of evidence. So for myself, from my experience of a contestant, I will make sure I have my own speech and I always bring it with me. In case if it's being contested, I can show it to the judges and say, you know, this is my speech. You can have a look at it. I prepared it way beforehand. If you want to count 25%, you can go ahead. And I know I'm making light of the situations, but I have seen contestants being challenged on 25%, and I overheard them saying that, oh, we need to count the words to make sure that it does not, overshoot the 25% mark. I think there's a reason for something, right? So I just want to throw it out there in case everybody think that is a myth, or maybe from other districts, or maybe even from Blooding Grace, they have different encounter as well. So this is my personal encounter. So I just want to throw it out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. So I learned the new importance of my speech draft, especially for the contest. How about we give the opportunity to our audience from Panchen Lao, the president, Toastmaster Thomas. Would you like to have a discussion?
Okay, thank you, our PQD Agustinus. Let's say, for example, in referring to making reference to another contestant name. Say, for example, if Ellen and myself is competing on the same platform, and I mention something like, I joined Toastmaster is because Ellen, who brought me to the Toastmaster. I thanks Ellen. Will I be disqualified in this sense? Actually, I'm saying something good, and it is a statement of fact. Ellen is the one who brought me to Toastmaster. And I'm referring to Ellen names. Then in this case, will I be disqualified?
Can I answer? According to the rule books, this is not what is stated, President Thomas. It's stated that when you are competing on the same platform with the contestant, and you are using the contestant speech, one part of the contestant speech, then you are immediately disqualified. But when you're referring to Ellen as because you joined Toastmaster because of Ellen, that means you are not using Ellen's part of the speech. You're only referring to him as being a sponsor or an introducer for you to join Toastmasters. So you are not disqualified because it's not part of the speech that Ellen is using. Do I answer your question, Thomas?
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to add on regarding this topic? I can see Division S Director, Lau In Kyung. Would you like to unmute and speak to the panelists?
I have a question. If just now about the refer, the contestant is contesting in the table topics contest, and he's referring to a contestant in the international speech or evaluation session speaker. So will that disqualify? Yeah, that is my question.
PDG Datin Grace.
Okay, Division S, right? Division Director Lau. Okay, you are
Yes.
referring that someone using at the table topics contest, referring to a contestant who is at the international speech contest, right?
Yes. Yes.
No, you are not disqualified because it's not the same. You are not on the same platform at the same competing at the same speech contest category.
Okay.
Because you are on table topics, whereas Alan is in the international speech contest, so it's completely different. You need to read because I only have 2021 and 2022 rule books, so it's advisable for contestants or for every members to read your rule books before you intend to join your contest. So you will have a clear picture of what you need to do before you fill in the certificates of eligibility as speakers or as judges. Just my humble advice to everyone. Back to you, PQD.
Thank you, PDG Datin Grace. Organizing chair, how many more minutes that I have for this session?
We still have around 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I would like to ask this question to our IPDD Alan Ang. This is the question regarding how to reduce the possibility of cheating in table topic online speech contest. So I heard that we need to brief our SAA to speak with the contestant in the breakout room, etc., etc. Perhaps you can enlighten us with this.
Thank you. I think this is a very interesting topic. The moment you gave the question away, I could see Patricia was also smiling as well. I think there might have be something interesting that she can share later on as well. But based on my experience, that was actually my first concern, because we had our first online speech contest 2 years ago. And that time I was the PQD, and that was the first thing that I worried, specifically for table topics and also evaluation. So let's say, for example, 5 of us right now are table topic contestants. We would be asked to put into a breakout room, right? And usually we would not know, should not be able to hear about the topic. But because this is online, right? How do I make sure that I don't actually have my wife standing in front of me right now, putting up another piece of paper telling me the question, or someone logging at different places? So a lot of things has been tried out over the years, and I see that we have members who are very creative. So this is what I've learned up to this point, the latest one. So if you have anything more advanced than this, more than happy to share. So when we ask anyone to go into the breakout room, first thing is we ask them to show around the room that nobody is in the room. Make sure that actually facing the wall so that they can't talk to anyone. Hands are always up, which means that you can't actually touch the keyboard. Sound must be on and video must be on. The reason is because when the sound is on, the video is on, the chances of cheating is very low, and you're looking at the wall only. Now, there would be very creative contestant would say that, I need a toilet break. We will tell them no. Why? Because imagine if this is a real contest, right? And you're in the breakout room, you're not supposed to go out. So this is exactly the same thing. Whatever you need to do, make sure you're prepared for the contest. So this is what I know. And for evaluation, we need very interactive, we need very bubbly sergeant at arms, because for evaluation, sometimes we have very experienced evaluator, right? After 5 minutes of writing the script, and if you give them a moment of silence, or let's say 10 minutes of silence, they can raise their hand, they can look at you, their mind is already structuring all the evaluation already. So it is very important to assign the most hospitable sergeant at arms that you can ever find in your district, the one that is the most popular, who learns how to talk. Put them into that room. Their job is to distract every contestant and talk to them continuously. Continuously talk to them so they can't think, they can't structure any thoughts on their mind. So this is what I'm known of that have been practiced in our district the latest one. I have not heard of something new from that, because the latest photo that I get from the area contest 2 months ago was seeing my fellow contestant holding their hands up as if they were in the jail, and then there was a photo taken by the sergeant at arms, a proof that everyone has been treated very well, fairly and equally in that room. So that is, I think, one of the way that we can do a creative and fun way and non-hostile way of ensuring that cheating is being controlled to the minimum. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I remember I had a conversation with one of the evaluation speech contestants. At that time, he was the last speaker out of 11 contestants, and he felt that being last was a huge disadvantage because he forgot the point of his evaluation after having a long conversation with the SAA. What do you think about this?
I'll speak. First of all, thank you, Alan. That was really very creative. At the beginning of online contest, we were also having a lot of problems. People coming to tell us that they cheat, we should do this. They listen to somebody's phone call, we should do this, so many things to do. And I pity the person who have to put their hands up if you are the 10th contestant, right? So coming back, we are saying that if the 10 contestant, what Agas say, forgotten what the speech was it about that? Do you say that? Forgotten about what the speech was? Is it evaluation? Were you talking about the 10th contestant?
Forgotten the point of his evaluation because.
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So that is different. Forgotten the points because at the 5 minutes, you are able to write down your points on a piece of paper. And this piece of paper have to be, I mean, I don't know about online, but physical, it have to come from on the spot. We give you the paper with the Toastmasters stamp. Online, you perhaps, Alan, maybe you're very creative thing or something. Now, for points you can write down. If you are not given any paper, use your own paper. There's no way to say that you cannot read from the notes for evaluation. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is last term, we do away with evaluation contests because our DD say that it is not fair. The first contestant have immediately only 5 minutes to give the speech. The 10th contestant have like, how many, two minutes times 10, which is 20 to 30 minutes to think about, can add on a lot of things. So he said that this is not a fair contest. And so he removed that contest from the district. So then again, it really depends on our very important person, the DD and the trio to decide upon that. But of course, that was new because every year we have all these contests and suddenly it was taken off and there were again a lot of complaint that it was taken off, but it was taken off. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Yes, IPDD Alan.
I just want to add on to what Patricia has mentioned about the fairness, right? I think we all have to come to an understanding that contest has been fair at best, but never equal. So let me repeat that. It has been fair at best, but never equal. The speaking order is fair, but never equal. That's why there's always a myth of first contestant going first seldom get a chance to win, and the last contestant going last will have a better chance of memory, and or whoever is in the center of the speaking order. We cannot deny any of this. That's why judges have to be brave, so on and so forth. So what we wanted to preach or what we wanted to practice or tell our members is not that we will be equal, but we try to be as fair as possible. There will be component of luck in a contest. Any contest has a component of luck in it. Any contest will also have component of advantages, whether it is a logistic advantages or the crowd advantage. It is always there. So you can never really be truly equal. So our job is to make sure that it is as fair as possible for anyone who joins the contest. This year you might have the best speech, but maybe your luck is not the lady luck is not on your side, that you draw the first pecking order. But it doesn't mean that you will lose, because we have seen contestants going first and actually win, right? So it's all really depend on whether the stars align for you logistically, whether the star aligned for you in terms of the judges. Maybe today, not all the judges actually really like your speech. It also depends on whether the internet is on your side today, right? Especially for online contests. There are so many things. So let's put all those aside and focus on fairness and not dilute ourselves with the perceptions of it has to be equal for everyone. So this is just my thought.
Okay, thank you, IPDD Alan. I like the quote, fair but never equal. So Toastmasters, if you are becoming the contest chair or chief judge in the future, remember this line. If your contestant is protesting or mentioning about disadvantages, fair but never equal. Thank you, panelists. We have many more questions, but because the segment time is over, I'm going to give the next opportunity for our next moderator, our lovely Club Growth Director, Hani Nurzahanira. Hani, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much, our PQD Agustinus Wijaya, and hello, District 87. Good afternoon, and thank you for still being here. And I love to see that the number of participants has increased from the moment we started. So that's great, because that means that everyone is so eager about contests. So for this session, we'll be talking about judging, all about judging. I'm gonna cut straight into the point, but I want to remind everyone that if you're not speaking, please remain muted. And if you do have questions, you are allowed to put up your virtual hands. And for panelists, for this session, if you would like to add on any points, just unmute yourself and add it on, because I believe this conversation can go very, very, very fun, because judging is the second part of contest. While everyone or your VPE for most of the time will be asking, are you going for contest? Chances is that you will be a contestant. And if you are not contestant, then you'll have the chief judge who's gonna ask you, hey, you're not contesting, right? So you must be free to become judges. So this tends to happen. So you're either on one side of the contest or the other side of the contest. And we have a lot of questions about, how to choose judges. But before we go into how to choose judges, I'd like to hear from all our panelists, all four of our panelists. What do you think, in your personal opinion, is the best attribute of an excellent judge? In your personal opinion. Perhaps we can start with our PDG Latin Grace.
Thank you, Club Growth Director Hani. Very good question for us to start with on your topic. Okay, the good attribute to be a good judge, you have to be fair, you have to be honest, and you must be open-minded. Because a good judge usually will know the rules in and out. So before you take up any roles as whether a chief judge or a tiebreaker judging, you still have to know the rules. Am I answering that attribute?
Yeah.
That's what I believe, because integrity is very important, is one of the 4 core values. And furthermore is respect. Because if you cannot be a good judge, how are you going to respect your members and the contestants? So that's what I believe. Back to you.
Thank you so much, PDG Latin Grace. Absolutely, I agree with you on that as well. How about our PDD Patricia? What do you think is an attribute of an excellent judge?
Thank you, Hani. Maybe as handsome as Alan have been one. Just kidding. Well, I think experience counts a lot. So if you do not have any experience, I suggest you join, you judge in the club level to gain experience, because club level is where everybody learns from the beginning. The next is it's very important to be professional about it, and then being objective is a must. You have to be very objective on your judging. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PDD Patricia. PID Elisa, what do you think is the best attribute of an excellent judge?
That would be difficult to narrow down to just one, but I would like to pick up from what Grace has mentioned about honesty. So I guess we all have to be honest that we are subjective because we are all human. And once we are honest about that feeling of being subjective, then we can move on to being objective. Because we recognize that, let's say a friend is competing, that person is a friend. We have to acknowledge that. But then if we do not acknowledge that, we cannot move on to being an objective judge. So we have to acknowledge that. I have a friend who is competing. But today, I am a judge for an area contest, and we are choosing the best contestant for the area, not the best friend that one could have. So first, acknowledge that we are all subjective, we're all human. And then from then, we can move on and focus on the weighted averages that are given in the judges' ballot. Because then we can remove friendship from the equation and focus on that. So that would be for me. We have to acknowledge that we are human, we are subjective, and then we move on to becoming objective and focus on the ratings. Back to you, Hannah. Honey.
Thank you so much, PID Alisa. Yes, I think that's a very interesting point as well, because we are all friends after all. So no hard feelings. It's always about putting that aside. Absolutely. And of course, according to Patricia, according to PDD Patricia, one of the attributes could be as handsome as Alan. So let's hear it from IPDD Alan Ang. What do you think is an attribute of an excellent judge?
Okay. So this is what I tell myself. If I were to be elected as a judge, forget that you are Toastmasters. So let me repeat, forget that you are a Toastmasters, which means you're not here to evaluate, you're here to judge. I think when we become a Toastmasters for a long time, it becomes our natural instinct to look at the speech and say, this could have been better, that could have been better. And we turn on our evaluation mode. And we tend to be very, very positive. If this is a judge, if this is a contest, the objective is we select the best winner. So forget about what we are as a Toastmasters in normal club meeting. Come in here, choose the best speech, bring out that piece of paper, mark the ballots, because the ballots will help you to have a clear mind about the scoring as well. Do not ever go back to the previous contestant and change the mark. Once you do it, once you mark the score, that's it. Never total it up until the last contestant is all done with. Because the moment you start totaling, right, your mind will tell yourself, oh, this one's 76, that one's 77. Let's go back a little bit. So mark everything except for the total and tell yourself, this is not a Toastmaster, this is a contest. I am not a Toastmaster, so today I'm not going to be supportive, I'm not going to be positive, I'm not going to give you an evaluation. That's it.
Thank you so much, OIPDD Alan. I wish you had given me that advice when I became the judges for the very first time, because when I saw the mark, it's like, oh, it's almost the same. Then you have a lot of things that goes on in my mind. And I'm sure each and every one of you had that experience before. All of us did, up until we realized, there are better ways to do this. And thank you so much to all our panelists for explaining what is an excellent attribute in a judge, because that comes in the second question. I noticed that all of you said that you're choosing the best person to move forward, right? In order to choose the best person to move forward, you also have to have some sort of a critical factor when it comes to choosing a judge. You have to choose the right judge as well, so that you know who to move forward. So that is the next question this is the next question, and I'm posing this question directly to our PDD Patricia. What do you think is the critical factor in choosing a judge?
I would think knowledge is very important. I prefer someone who has already attended a judges workshop. Then during the judges workshop, many details will be shared. And I also like that the person knows is well versed with the latest contest rules, well versed with the judges' criteria, and also that know the contest online good practice. So all this you can get the knowledge from either from the what do you call that? You can Google it. You can even write to TI for it. So read up on them, know them very well. And to me, somebody asked me, is taking part in a contest, being the experience of taking part in a contest make a good judge, I do not really need to consider that, because they are totally two mindset altogether, judging and taking part in a contest. So I think knowledge is well-versed with all the details, well-versed with the rules and regulation, the online good practice, the judges' ballots, the criteria. Those are very important.
Thank you so much, our PDD Patricia. Yes, knowledge is a very important thing. You also have to understand what you are judging for as well. Thank you so much, PDD Patricia. Just now, one of our panelists said that it is very hard. You have to learn how to separate yourself from evaluation to actually judging. So what is your best advice to those who will be judging, especially those who's going to be judging for the very first time? Or those who has been judging all the time but might need this advice. I think I want to pose this question directly to our PDG, Datin Grace. Datin Grace, what do you think is the best advice to give to those who would be judging soon?
Thank you. Just now, if I remember, Elisa and Alan did mention about evaluation and judging. So when you put yourself out as not a Toastmasters, you're only doing judging, right? But we must also understand evaluation is studying the facts to form an opinion. Am I correct? That is what we learn about evaluation, right? But judging is deciding on the quality of the speech. So when you are a judge, you have to remember that you need to define the quality of the speech. Not because he or she is your friend that you wanted to give them a better marks, or your evaluation is that, oh, this speech is better, but it doesn't have the quality of what he or she is speaking. So to me, I believe judging is very important. You need to know the quality of their speech, because that person is coming from the club level to the area level, and which is going to represent the area to the division. So you must be very careful in choosing the correct contestants to represent your clubs. That's how I look at it.
Thank you so much, PDG Datin Grace. Yes, the right person to represent. Any other panelists would like to add on to that point just now? Yes, our PID, Elisa.
Yeah, I would agree with Datin Grace, but and I would just like to share that there are some, this is an experience that I've had before, wherein they would select, some judges would select a contestant based on future possibilities. Meaning sometimes for an international speech contest, they will say, this contestant number 2 will be better suited for the international contest, instead of judging all the contestants based on their performance today. They are thinking of something in the future, which is not supposed to be. So we should judge the performance of the contestants based on their performance today. That's the difference between judging and evaluation, because in evaluation, we're thinking of recommendations on how they can improve. Maybe in the future, they will do better. But with judging, we have to base them on their performance today. So we have to choose the best contestant, best performance done by a contestant today, not for future possibilities.
That's right, PID Elisa. And thank you for bringing that up, because the following question I actually have in it for you, actually. So in this case, right, what is the formula in being fair in judging all participants? Based on your experience, what was your formula in being fair, apart from, looking into that is the contest today? I think a lot of us has that in mind. What's your usual routine that we could emulate from?
One common, I think it's not a major mistake, but it's a shortcoming by veteran judges, is they forget to go over and review the judging sheet. I always, even if we have judged so many times, I think a lot of us would go over and read the code of ethics, the code of conduct, and then we go over the things that are in the judges' ballot. As a simple reminder that we should be focusing on this. These are the items that we should focus on, not on whether the contestant is wearing white socks or not. Because there are some who get distracted by all those things. Remember last year there was a contestant at the World Speech Champion, I think at the regionals, wherein a contestant was in jeans. So if you're a judge, you should be focusing on the content and the performance. Okay, so focus on the items that are in the judging sheet, not on any other peripheral that we can see. Those will come in if everything, the contestants would come in equal. Then those nuances will count. But other than that, we don't consider them first. So focus on the judging sheet. Review them before you go for the contest and act as a judge. In that way, we are reminded on our duties, our responsibilities to choose the best contestant, to choose the winner for the day.
Thank you, PID Eliza. And I believe that just a reminder for all of you who's going to be contestant, we understand it's going to be online again this year. So whatever you wear, half bottom down, it's all up to you, but be careful when you move around the screen because we can absolutely see you. Not that it should matter on the marks, according to PID Eliza. Now I'm going to shift this to IPDD Alan because he used to be a contestant as well. I remember before he was the CGD, he was actually a contestant in the district level. And while he was a contestant, you know, he competed really well. He won. And then after that, he became the CGD and the IPDD we know today. So IPDD Alan Ang, I want to know what about you? What do you think is the formula of being fair in judging all participants? Because you have been in both situations. I'd like to hear your point of view of this.
I think in addition to all the comments by Eliza, Patricia, and also I think Grace, I think another thing that it actually happened to me myself, and I just want to share it is, as a fellow Toastmasters member, when we are being called to be a judge, I think it is important for us to disclose any potential conflict of interest. I think announcing your potential conflict of interest means that, for example, I might have a mentee competing. So if someone asks me to be a judge, it should be from me telling the chief judge that, hey, I don't think it is fair because I have a very close personal relationship with my mentee. And in case if anything happens, I don't know whether I can be really 100% fair or not. And I think being very upfront and very honest about this is very important. I learned this from my mentor as well when I was being mentored for a speech contest, and someone asked him to be a judge, and he immediately turned down. And he came to me and said that, you know what, I was being asked to be a judge and I totally turned it down because we have a relationship at this moment and I don't think it's fair. So from that point onwards, I realized that as much as the leadership team were coming from the chief judge to the contest chair, they are doing their best. It is also important to remind members to help the chief judge and also help the contest chair as well, because sometimes we might miss out some information, and these are some of the minor things that can impact the results of the contest. For me, it's just that disclosing any potential conflict of interest. This is what I would do. So I've actually turned down quite a few because maybe they have come to me and asked, hey, Ellen, would you mind to give me some pointers or what do you think about my speech? If I have at least at one point looked at the script already and commented anything on it, then I should withdraw myself, because how would I judge? How would you judge if you help someone? You definitely think that is the best speech because you have given your comment and you've given your input. If not the best, the second best. So definitely it's hard to maintain that that objectivity. So that's my take. I hope it answers the question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much, IPDD Alan. Personally, I think that is a very important point. I think a lot of us, we got used to it. That you used to be a judge. So sometimes you may overlook that. I can share a personal experience. People like to call me to become a judge because I can't be a contestant. On the other hand, in my own club, my husband always competes and he always move on to area, division. So that's very difficult for me because I know that I will be unfair. So usually in my own division in area or my own club, I will reject being a judge. And I think it's very important because integrity is everything. If you know that your integrity is going to shake a little bit, I believe it's important to disclose. Absolutely awesome, that answer. Now let's take it up a notch. Someone actually in the chat, I saw someone is asking about making a protest. And I'd love to hear that as well. In what time would it be, what kind of like time range would be appropriate for a contestant to make a protest? I would like to ask this question directly to our PDD, Patricia. What would be the most appropriate time for contestant to make a protest?
Well, if we follow the rule book, then the contest, any protests have to be done before the completion of the contest. So anything that is, sometimes when we have contests in in a conference, the results will not be out until maybe the final of the conference. So the thing is, do not wait until the result, but as long as the contest has not been completed, you can make a protest. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And it's directly from the rule book. That's great. I have a question here that wishes to remain anonymous. And it's direct to the point. And any of our panel can answer this. And it's very interesting as well. So on the last minute, 1 or 2 judges pull out. So I'm the chief judge. Can I also end up judging? So any of our panelists will be able to answer that. You can just unmute yourself.
I think that's very straightforward that no, you cannot judge if you are the chief judge. I think that's very straightforward. It's in the rule book. Yes.
Our PID Elisa just unmuted herself. You want to add something onto that?
Yes, I agree with Patricia. The chief judge cannot participate. That's why we always outnumber, we always overcompensate with the number of judges, especially with the online contest. So sometimes for the district, we have 15, 16 judges because we never know. In fact, I would be chief judge for an area contest next week. And for an area, we need only 5. We have around 8 to 9 judges to ensure that we will still have the minimum of 5. If all of them, as I've stated earlier, would remain until the end, nobody will get cut off, then we will count 9 ballots.
Yeah, thank you so much, PID Elisa. So that comes into the next question from the same person as well, our DVD B. So should disconnected judges continue or should we wait for them? I believe this question is more towards the chief judge. Should chief judge announce to wait for them? Any of our panelists?
In our case, in District 75, we don't wait. The judge, if they get cut off, they inform the chief judge. I got cut off, I cannot make it back, then their ballots will no longer be expected.
Yes, thank you so much. I believe in District 87, we are practicing that as well. I don't think that has changed. And I believe that would be the most applicable. So always remember that, have extra judges so that even there's 1 or 2 who is not going to make it due to whatever reason it is, you'll still have enough judges to go through. I believe all of our panelists have the similar point of view onto that. And talking about that, and I'm just going to continue with the question in the chat because that's connected to the rest of the question we have. What is the greatest impact if we know who, if we open? I believe, okay, I'm going to rephrase this because I do believe what he is trying to say. We have guests coming in watching, so like all of us. If in District 87, our common practice is we will name ourselves Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3, Judge 4, and all of us is in black. And that I believe someone is unmuted. My apologies for that. Thank you so much for muting yourself back again. Okay, let me say it again. So usually in District 87, we have Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3 onwards, and everyone is going to be in black and we don't reveal who it is. And we know they are the judges. So what would be the implication if the judges disguise as one of the participants? As in, you can name yourself, you can open your screen like right now. So if let's say this is a contest and all of us, I don't know who's going to be the judges, but there are 87 participants and the judges is one of them. What will be an implication that could happen if we do something like that? I believe this question should be aimed towards not from District 87, because this is how District 87 has been practicing. I would like to hear from our PDD Patricia and our PID Elisa on how do you have your judges on screen usually?
For table topics and evaluation, because for the district contest, it's usually pre-recorded. It's not open to everybody. And so all that are present are the judges and the functionaries and the contestants. So we usually have a blank, we usually rename ourselves Judge 1, Judge 2. But for humorous and international, since it's open, we don't have to cover up who are the judges. So everybody comes in and name themselves as they are. That's how we do it.
Understand. Thank you, PID Elisa. What about in your district, PDD Patricia?
Well, most of the time they prefer to have judges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they are anonymous, so we do not know who they are. But for me, I told them that I am fine if I'm the chief judge for them to come in as guests. As long as you don't tell the audience, these are my judges, and they come in as audience, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I leave it to the club. If they want it to be renamed as J1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm fine. But if they want to take my suggestion as allowing them to come in as guests, I'm fine too. But the trouble with naming them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes Wi-Fi problem, they show their face. It happens. I do not know whether it happens to you, but it's their face. It could be they are not so well versed with their Wi-Fi or something like that. So what do you do, right? Then you will have to remove them. Thank you.
Understand. Thank you so much, PDD Patricia. I wonder if our PDG Datin Grace or PDD Alan Ang has anything to add on to that.
Yep. I think I can't remember which contest that I've attended, but this is something that I've learned from them. I think it's very practical. We would be able to expect a number of guests joining the contest. So if you anticipate if you anticipate that the number of guests attending the contest will be very high, let's say 80, 90, 100, 120 people attending the event, then you can just invite your judges to come in as a normal guest, because nobody would notice it. However, if you anticipate your contest would only be attended by 15 people, then probably you want to have a J1, J2, J3 because it'll be too obvious. Yes, I think I learned this from attending one of the event from Singapore. I think it was just last year. I thought it was a very good practice, and that's what is at the back of my mind, telling myself next time if I were to be a chief judge, this would what I would exactly be doing, asking how many people do I anticipate. If a lot, then just ask the judge lah. No need to rename yourself. Just come in here just as a normal audience. It's like how we usually do it at our conference. You have 100+ people. It's very highly unlikely. You might guess who it is, but it's very highly unlikely you can correctly pick out the 11 judges or the 12 judges. Yeah, that's my take.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, IPDD Allen. I do believe when IPDD Allen had to sort this out, because it was the first time of the pandemic, and I think I was in that team as well. We were looking at everyone's district and how do they do it. There's no correct answer. It all depends on the situation that you are in, exactly like what all our panelists has said just now. And best is as long as you get it right and no one gets hurt and the judging would be fair. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Who is the right person to protest? So I want to ask this directly to our PDG Datin Grace, because she's already into the rule book. So PDG Datin Grace, who is the right person to protest?
Okay, according to the rule books 2021-2022, only contestant, chief judge, and the judging judges are allowed to protest. No audience, we cannot entertain audience protests, right? So protests are only limited to eligibility, originality, and reference to another speech contest, and only be lodged by the voting judges and the contestants. So any protest must be lodged with the chief judge and the contest judge prior to the contest being adjourned. That was mentioned by PDD Patricia just now. And also the chief judge must also be informed the reason why. But however, at the contest rule books, 70, it mentioned the contest chair can disqualify a contestant on the basis of eligibility. The contest chair can do that. It doesn't matter at which level you find out that the contestant is not eligible. Like for example, during the club contest, she has already been the winner and he moved on to area level and to division level, representing the area to the division level. And at that moment, you find out that he or she is not in good standing, or the club is not in good standing during the club contest. He can be disqualified immediately. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be at the division level that you find out that he is not eligible to compete. Because at the club contest, when he is not a good standing and the club is not in good standing, he has to be disqualified immediately, but no one noticed that until it reaches the division and someone find out that at that time during the club level, he's already not eligible to contest. Does answer your question?
That absolutely answers my question, and that comes into the next portion of that question, Datin Grace, and I'd like to continue to pose this question to you. Is there any eligibility or originality questions when it comes to using the same speech for humorous speech and international speech? And if there isn't, is it even recommended? What do you think, Datin Grace?
There is no right or wrong, but it depends on the individual. Like for example, I'm competing at the humorous speech contest at the same conference, okay? The judges have already heard my humorous speech contest, and I'm making use of that to the international speech contest. Do you think, is it fair to the other contestant? You have to ask yourself this, because in Toastmasters guideline, there is no right or wrong. It depends on the individual, whether you want to use the same speech throughout all your contests. But if I am one of the judges, I would definitely will feel to be fair to all contestants, I will see the contents of that. For example, when you're doing humorous contests, you will have more humor on your content, right? So when you're doing the international speech contest, and you have to be beneficial, whether it fits to bring forward to the area, to the division, or to the district. Before, you have to ask yourself the same question, whether you want to use the same speech. That's my humble opinion. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Datin Grace. How about our other panelists? Do you have any other opinion onto that? Using the same speech for humorous speech and international speech. In your opinion as judges, with all this while, is it recommended? Or do you share the same sentiment with Datin Grace?
For me, I share the same sentiments as Datin Grace, because the weighted rating for an international speech is different from that of a humorous speech. So it might be successful as a humorous speech. It might not carry the same weight in terms of messaging for the international speech category. The audience might still laugh, but in terms of amount of, let's say, does it challenges us to, does it challenge our mind? Does it touch our heart? So it might not be able to come up to that standard. So there is nothing stopping you from using the same speech, but again, it's on your watch. It's up to you, the contestant. And don't expect the same result from the humorous speech contest and the international speech contest.
Thank you, PID and Lisa. Yes, and I believe as a judge, we are all human. So this effect may take place even when we don't realize that. There is a question from the chat box, but this time I'm going to call her instead. From Trainers and Coaches Toastmasters Club, VPE Harlina Indra. Would you like to read out or say out your question, Toastmasters Harlina? If she is still in the room. Okay, maybe she is probably not in the room, but it's okay. I'm going to read the question. And I think it's a good question as well. Do the judges has to be in a club contest? Do the judges have to be from outside of the club? Or can you just stick to your own club member? And I think the question should be also another way. Can a judge be from outside of your club if it's a club contest? So let's say I'm from Club A, and IPDD Ellen Ang is from Club B. Because I don't have enough judges, I call upon potentially my competitors' club in the area level to become a judge in my club for my club contest. What is the best practice? Or is it an okay, or is it not okay? Now this question I'm going to ask to our PDD Patricia.
I think the question is, when you're having a club contest, must the judges be from another club, right? So according to rule book, there's nothing to say that judges must come from other clubs, but I think it is preferred to. But if you do not have enough judges, then there's no rules to say that you cannot have your own members to be a judge. Yes. Does that answer your question?
I think Hani is stuck at this moment right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe someone may want to add on to what I say. Who wants to add on to what I say?
I think I can add on for a while. Leza, you want to go first?
No, you go first, Alan.
Okay. I think if it comes to judges, it does not really matter where the judges come. Most important, you find the best and the most suitable judges for your contest, because it represents your club image, it represents your area as well. For example, finding good set of judges has some benefits that is not usually highlighted. For instance, you have guests coming in to watch the contest, and as audience, right, as a guest, sometimes they observe the contest and they will feel like, wow, this is as of a certain high levels, and they felt like certain speakers have done exceptionally well. But if you found judges who might not be competent enough and the results is really too far off, you might even raise concern or questions from the crowd of thinking, like, what's the judging guideline? Like, how did this happen? How did that happen? So the organizations and the flow of the contest, I think it directly impacts the image of the club. So if you want to get anyone to be the judge, I think you can. If your club can do it, get it from your club. But right now, most of the contests are online. You can make use of the connections and find members from other clubs as well, so that they can come in and share different perspectives. So I think the sole purpose or the objective is, let's have a good contest and use that as a foundation to decide who you want to choose as a judge. So that's my take. What about you, Eliza?
Yeah, I think there's no rule that we cannot get judges from outside of the club. Usually, I talk from, let's say, from my club, the Davao Pag-asa, we always request or invite or force members to join the contest. So practically all of the members are contestants, especially for table topics and evaluation. So we do have to get judges from outside of the club. And I usually ask, say, the area directors to come in and help judge the contest, because it's difficult also to get judges from other clubs, especially when they have not yet decided yet whether they are competing or not. So since the area directors cannot compete, then I usually try to top the people who cannot compete as judges for the club. Other than that, we fill up the judges roster with members from our club.
That's fair, PID Elisa. And hey, everyone, I am back. I believe you all realize I got disconnected. See, if a contest judge can be disconnected, moderators can be disconnected from internet too. All right. We have about approximately 2 minutes left. So I'm going to wrap up my last question to all our panelists, and all four, you have a chance to answer this as well. And I saved this question for last. I believe it's a very important, it would be an important take for your closing as well. As an experienced judge, how do you determine the X factor in a potential champion? There's no right or wrong answer for this, but I believe it would be a good tips that all our potential contestants and potential judges can bring home to consider upon, and we would have a fantastic contest moving forward. So my question again, as an experienced judge, how do you determine the X factor in a potential champion? So I'll start this with IPDD Alan Ang.
X factor. I don't know what X factor everyone is looking for. I think as a judge, we're trying to be very objective here, right? So if you suddenly ask me to think about X factor, I'm thinking, what would that be? But maybe one thing that I do as a judge, and I think this can relate to some of the questions that has not been answered early on, would be when someone is presenting the speech, I actually put myself in the shoe of an audience. Like, oh, I'm watching the speech right now. I just want to enjoy the speech. And when the contest chair says that, all right, please give 1 minute of silence, then that's where my judging comes in. And I'll look at the ballot and say, oh, based on this, how do I feel? What was the body language? What was the usage of words? How was the languaging appropriateness and all those things? So when the speech was being delivered, I listened to the speech as an audience to enjoy it, especially when it's all online right now, right? So they say that, oh, the audience response, and it's only me, myself. How do I judge the audience response? So this question was being posted to TI as well. And TI said, you are the audience. I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. So put myself as in the shoe of the audience. When the 1 minute of silence start, that 1 minute, I'm a judge. I will do my best to mark the ballot. 1 minute stop, that's it. So to me, I don't really say that an X factor, but enjoy the speech. You're a judge, also at the same time, you're the audience. Be part of, enjoy, take in the fun, all these contestants have done their best to deliver their best speech. We can give our best respect by giving them our full attention. So that's all that I can say. I hope that answers your question. Thanks.
Like I said, there's no right or wrong in this question. It's just what I would like to hear from experienced judges, and all four of you has way more experience that I could even collect in my years of Toastmasters at the current moment. So thank you so much, IPDD Alan. That is very insightful. Let me ask PDG Dating Grace, what would be your, how do you determine an X factor of a potential champion?
Like what IPP Alan just mentioned, I don't have any X factor regarding the best contestant, or to be, how would I put it? I was a contestant before at my club level, but I did not win. I was placed first runner-up, but when I went to the area level, I was the winner. So looking at it, I would believe that being chosen as one of the judges, when you read your judging form, you have to go through it thoroughly before you start to judge others. First, you have to judge yourself first, whether you are honest looking at the criteria given. So as you know, the content is very important. Then the delivery and how you manage to capture the audience attention, right? That is very easy to judge at physical contests. But at online contests, just to mention a bit, I find that I did attended a few online contests at other division. I find that some of the contestants are not giving their speeches verbally. They are reading the script in front of the screen. So as judges, you have to be very alert whether they are honest delivering their speech or they are reading the script. Is that fair to the next contestant who is without script and yet presenting their speech? So when you do the ballot counting, when you're giving the marks at the 1 minute silence, when you're doing the counting, you have to be very sure that you notice certain contestants are not honest with their speech. So there's a lot of loopholes on online speech contests. So that's how I look at it as a judge, as one of the judges. Thank you, Amy. Back to you.
Thank you so much, PDG Datin Grace. PDD Patricia, what is your take on this?
I think X factor is very important to me. I think occupational hazard. I would say that X factor is something that is not on the criteria of the on the forms. So I look for two things, and that is looks and substance. First impression is very important. When the person comes on, I look if he is all ready. If somebody comes on and say, what am I supposed to do? Am I going to stand here? PMB, am I supposed to wait for you? I think that person would lose some, it makes the person looks not so good. So I would like that when the contestant comes on, make sure he knows exactly what he is supposed to do. Yeah, if he has props, get them ready and not say, wait, give me another minute, I got to get my props. So that to me is look. How well do you look? Not so much as being handsome or not so much as being beautiful, but how you present yourself, that is important. Now, substance, how creative the person is. If you remember, World Champion of Public Speaking 2020, that would be Mike Carr. And he was the first speaker to make the best use of the camera. If you have forgotten, go back and watch him. And he was so creative with his camera that instantly when I watched him, I knew he was going to be the champion. Another one is Darren Tay. He was very, you know who Darren Tay is? He's from my club. He was also very creative. He made use of his youth. How to make use of his youth? He donned a white underwear on top of his pants. Now, not everyone or everything works for everyone. If, say, an older person were to do that, then I think the negative, the effect will be quite negative. So he knows his youth, he knows he could carry that off, and so he made use of that. I can't imagine myself doing that and standing on the stage. I think I will be kicked off, right? So know how creative you are, know presentation, how to present yourself when you come with it. Learn when it's your first time, use the club level to learn as much as you can. So if you are good at the club level, I don't mean that good means you have to win, but you are so prepared, you know exactly what to do. And then when you go on to area, you already have the plus point. So that is how important it is. And the next one is how creative in your speech, what are you doing that I've not seen before? Thank you.
Thank you so much, PDD Patricia. Readiness and substance, that is something to keep in mind. Of course, last but not least, our PID, Elisa. What do you think?
Can I just say all of the above?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think if you're a contestant, you should have a certain air of confidence when you stand in front. And as Patricia said, that's an instant signal already. So when you stand in front, even if you're trembling inside, you're there. You know you're going to compete. So have that certain air of confidence within you. And that will exude itself. And then as a judge, I don't limit myself to that. That's a welcome presentation of you as a contestant, but for the judge, that's also an indication that this person is ready. This person is confident and ready to compete. So from there, we then listen. As what Alan mentioned, we sit back and be the audience and listen. The same thing, I don't mark my ballot also while a contestant is speaking. I wait until they are done to give due justice also to the presentation being given by the contestant. Then you bow down and judge them during that minute of silence. I would really like to look at the contestants when they are delivering and nod if I agree with them, smile if they say something nice and something significant, and be a normal audience member. Then judge them after they have their piece. So X factor is difficult to say this is the X factor. It's a total package. It's not one thing.
Thank you so much, PID Elisa. And that sums up perfectly for this section, the judging session. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all four of our panelists today, PID Elisa Tay, PDD Patricia Lam, PDG Datin Grace Chiu, and IPDD Ellen Ang. And as well as thank you for allowing me to become one of your moderator this afternoon. All the best, everyone, and let's make the best out of this contest season. Over to you, Pat, Toastmasters of the Day, Patrick.
Thank you to all our panelists and also two of our moderators for today's great discussion. I believe after this discussion, everyone have better understanding, clearer view on how to run an online contest and also judging, and also answering my dilemma. Because I remember when I started as SAA, I let a few contestants going for a toilet break because they told me they couldn't hold it anymore. So after this discussion, we are all very clear. You have to master the role in order to win the game. If you break the toilet roll, you'll certainly lose the game. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now in the chat box, I have given you the form for feedback. So for all the audience, please help us to fill in the feedback form to improve ourselves in the future. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite our SAA Toastmaster Yenny Mok to present a token of appreciation to our panelists. Toastmaster Yenny, please share the certificate.
So I will count to 3. You can give your best smile. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. You can give another pose if you want. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
So we'll go for the second panelist, past District 80 Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Lam.
Okay, I got it in my screen, so I will count to 3. Distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Lam. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. You can give another smile or another pose. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Tom.
Okay, now we present to the third panelist, our past District 87 Governor, Distinguished Toastmaster Datin Grace Chiu.
Okay, to Distinguished Toastmaster Datin Grace Chiu, I would like to count to 3 and you can give your best smile. I'll count 1, 2, 3. Okay, another pose. Maybe you can add another one. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, we proceed to the last one, the IPDD, Alan Ang.
All right, I got in my screen, so I will count to 3, distinguished Toastmaster Alan. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time, you can give another pose. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. Back to you, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much for all of our panelists and also moderators. Maybe for all the audience, you can unmute yourself if you want and say thank you to all our panelists and moderators. Or you can press your emojis and all the stuff.
Thank you to the moderators, panelists, and the OC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Learn a lot.
Good. It was
Do we get
very
do we get a
insightful.
group photo?
Very insightful for the contest.
Yes. Group photo, please.
Oh yeah, group photo. Let's go. Let's go.
Group photo, collect present letter at the end of the term.
Group photo, later on there will be group photo, so don't leave first. Now we are going to play a video to recognize who are the team behind this event. Okay, Zoom host, please play the video.
Here we go!
All right, thank you for all the team behind this successful event for today. Now I would like to invite our District 87 contest chairperson for a closing remark. Please join me to welcome her on stage, past District 87 Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Ivy Lau. Toastmaster Ivy, please.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I hope everybody have a wonderful time this afternoon together with our panelists. I certainly did. And I definitely recall a lot of fun times while being judges or during events. I think the few things that I hope all of us can have a take back, yeah, from this session. What I have written here basically is number one, right? Be flexible, right? Flexibility. If the master rule win the game, as Starting Grace have said correctly, speech rule book, please read. Right? So don't think of playing any roles without reading the speech rule book. Whether you are a contestant or you are judges or you're contest chair, read up. Yeah, this is very, very important. So I salute that. Very true. Well said, Datin. And I hope every one of us would do the reading. Yeah, because importantly, speech has changes. The rule book may have changes, slight changes year after year. Yeah, to fit into the members' needs. And number two is fair chance, right? What I wrote here, fair chance of platform. And I think everybody will be given that fair chance, be it contestant, be it the judges, be it the audience as well. And the third thing which I had here is to have the open communication. We are in Toastmaster, yeah, whereby it is a leadership and communication club. And sometimes let us not be clouded by all the specific rules that we tend to be too rigid, unable to maneuver, right? And
what we could have done is just pick up a call and start to talk to the person and everything can be resolved, right? So I think that is very key. From Patricia, she talked about being experienced. And to be experienced to play in any role, we have to start from club. Yeah, if you want to be an experienced judge, start from club. So when the club leaders ask you to play a role, don't just shy away. No, 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 it's not me. I just want to play as a contestant. Yeah. Then as you move up, you are not able to do judging. One thing I could recall is that if we want to be good also as a contestant, you need to also master what are the roles in judges. Yeah, because then you know what the judges will be looking for. Right. I think a lot of things when we put up just earlier on, it is about the understanding and the stories, yeah, and how we deliver. And I like the fact Hani asked about the X factor, yeah, and that X factor, you can find it in the judging criteria, right? And I think readiness and confidence, Eliza and also Patricia also mentioned that, very important. So I do hope this afternoon session, master the rule, win the game, applies not only to contestants, but also to the judges, and especially to the contest chair. Technicality, District 87 this term will again be online, and I seek everybody's help in this area whereby it is online. We have to have an understanding, and I'm sure our PQD August will be asking for a meeting for us to discuss, to finalize, so that we will have a fair chance and flexibility for everybody. Back to you, and I do hope to see every one of you soon in the conference. Patrick.
Thank you, PDD Ivy. I'm sorry because there's a problem with my camera, so I'll continue with my camera off. All right, so with this, we will proceed to one of the most important sessions for today, is the group photo session. So Zoom host, please. Everyone, please open your camera.
All right, I will lead this session for the group photos for immobilized memories. And I would like to take a group picture, and I want to ask yourself to unmute and to open up your video so I can take a picture for all of you so we can see it clear. Wait a moment, still a few of them. Okay, I hope every one of you can open up your video so we can take a picture clearly. Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, I will count to 3 and I will start from the first layer. And you can do another pose and you can give your best smile so we can see you shining, shimmering, splendid so much. So I will start to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I will go to the second layer. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Back to our talk for today.
Thank you very much, our Zoom host and everyone. So with this, I announce that this event is officially adjourned, and I wish you all success in your online contest journey and see you all on top. For all the committee's members, panelists and moderators, please stay we will have a committee group photo. Thank you very much, everyone. See you in the next event. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Very
Thank
beautiful
you.
panel discussion. Well done.
Good job, panelists and committee members.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you. Well done, everyone.
Well done. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.